An unusual event occurred in a farmer's shed. It was a rare 1 in 10,000 circumstance. And as the farmer observed it, he shrieked. This event sparked a sequence of occurrences that transformed his life. Ethan woke in the early predawn hours, his heart racing at the abnormal sounds coming from the shed. A weird blend of neighbors and thuds. He tossed on his jacket and dashed outside, the chilly air stinging his cheeks. If you're hooked by this mystery, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to The Unusual for more captivating stories just like this one. Your support helps us keep these thrilling stories coming your way. As he approached the shed, he shoved open the hefty gates. Emma, his cherished mare, was in severe discomfort. Sweat glistened on her sleek chestnut coat, and her eyes were filled with agony. Ethan's stomach churned. She was about to give birth. The expected timeline was weeks away, not now. It hurt him to see her in such distress without a professional. Ethan had watched Emma grow from a colt, standing by her through every accident and illness. Now grappling with fear and impotence, he reached for his phone and called Dr. Nicola Jarvis, the town's veterinarian. "Keep your calm," she advised. "I'm out of town, but we'll get to you soon. In the meantime, ensure her comfort, talk to her, and maintain her tranquility. She knows what to do." Ethan hung up and turned back to Emma. "Everything is fine," he soothed, gently patting her neck. "You'll be okay. Just take slow breaths." But Emma's breathing grew strained, causing panic to surge within him. He got clean towels and a bucket of warm water, struggling to think of what else to do. Emma's contractions intensified, and he remained by her side, mopping her perspiration and softly speaking encouraging words. Just when he thought he couldn't endure anymore, he noticed the first signs of the young one. With a final blood-curdling contraction, the foal made its entry. Ethan's breath hitched. It was a colt, damp, shivering, yet alert. He immediately wrapped the foal in a towel and rubbed it energetically to stimulate it. "Will," Ethan softly called. "Welcome to the world, little champ. Your name is Will." His reply was brief. Emma still seemed uneasy. Then, much to his astonishment, Ethan spotted another pair of tiny hooves. He let out a sharp cry, taken aback. "Really, Emma? Twins?" He knew that twin colts were a rarity and often didn't survive. Alarm seized him, but he focused on Emma. The next foal was just as laborious to arrive. After what felt like an eternity, the second foal was born. Ethan's fingers quaked as he swaddled the fragile being in another cloth. This one was a female, smaller and frailer than her brother. "Grace," he murmured, his tone strained. "Your designation is Grace since you're a serendipity." Dual colts were remarkable in frequency in equine reproduction, with the probability of survival believed to be 1 in 10,000. Most equine twin pregnancies result in termination or the demise of one or both foals. It was a stark truth of existence, where lifespan was often a matter of chance and timing. Emma's successful labor of Will and Grace was an unforeseen blessing. Ethan was all too familiar with the statistics. A day later, Dr. Nicola Jarvis arrived. Her calm demeanor instantly eased Ethan's anxiety. She meticulously inspected the colts. "They're faring remarkably well," she said. "They require continuous attention in the initial weeks. Ensure they're suckling adequately and staying hydrated. Keep an eye out for signs of frailty or malaise. I'll assist you every step of the way." Ethan adhered to Nicola's directives, becoming an indefatigable protector. He ensured Emma received sufficient sustenance and hydration to produce ample milk for the colts. He monitored their weight daily, recording every increase and decrease with painstaking detail. He regulated the barn's climate, conscious that even a minor cold could pose a threat. Weeks passed, and the little equines grew stronger. They survived against the odds, defying forecasts and proving that blessings could occur even on a modest ranch in California. Late one afternoon, Ethan spotted a silhouette advancing from afar. A lean man clad in an extensive overcoat and hat ambled down the earthen trail to the barn. Ethan's initial response was caution. Unanticipated visitors were uncommon, and he couldn't risk disturbances. As the individual drew near, Ethan moved forward and halted at the barn entrance. "Can I help you?" he asked. The man lifted his hat, revealing keen features and bright azure eyes. "I'm in search of Ethan," he said. "I have information that might intrigue you." Ethan's gaze narrowed as he studied the newcomer. "My name is Victor. I've become aware of your recent arrivals, the twin colts. You should understand, their birth isn't just infrequent, it's remarkable." A shiver ran down Ethan's spine. Victor approached and spoke in a softer tone. "The existence of twin colts is nearly unheard of, and their survival is a wonder," Victor continued. "But it's not just the rarity that makes them astounding. There's something distinct about them, something valuable." Anxiety grew inside Ethan as he looked Victor squarely in the eyes. "You see, certain individuals would strive to possess such colts," Victor explained. "People who perceive them as more than mere animals, as crucial elements to access something greater." Ethan's heart throbbed as Victor paused, then continued. "An elite assembly of horse breeders exists out there. They're fixated on refining lineages and attaining the pinnacle of their racehorse herds. They've been seeking twin colts like yours for years, believing these twins possess a peculiar genetic characteristic that could transform horse breeding." Ethan's thoughts raced. Victor sighed. "I was once part of that world. I know their determination. I'm sharing this with you because you should prepare yourself. They will pursue your twin ponies, and they won't readily accept rejection." Ethan watched Victor depart until he blended with the setting sun. A tangle of worry tightened in his gut. The content life he once knew was now clouded by uncertainty and latent danger. In the days that followed Victor's disclosure, Ethan's tranquil farm became filled with unease. It began with small incidents: missing equipment, peculiar noises during late hours, and a constant feeling of being watched. Ethan couldn't shake the apprehension that something was terribly amiss. One morning he discovered his toolbox was empty. He distinctly remembered putting it on the bench the previous evening. Baffled, he searched the barn and its surroundings, but found no traces. Unfamiliar footprints in the mud near the barn added to his irritation. Footprints that didn't belong to him. Then there were the noises. Initially, faint whispers could be shrugged off as the wind. But as days wore on, they grew louder and unmistakable. Nighttime thuds and rustling kept Ethan alert. He spent countless nights wide awake, patrolling the barn with a flashlight in hand, prepared to confront any intruders. One evening, while inspecting the colts, he noticed something unusual. Will was near the barn entrance, scraping at the earth. When Ethan approached, a small metallic object partially covered by grime caught his attention. Retrieving it, he realized it was a miniature surveillance device. His veins turned icy as Victor's earlier warnings echoed in his mind. Someone was watching him. He had tangible proof. Determined to protect his young colts, Ethan took the invasive gadget inside and crushed it under a sledgehammer. He knew he had to be more vigilant than ever. One night he found the barn door ajar, even though he had distinctly remembered securing it. On another occasion, he discovered strange symbols etched on a tree's bark near the grazing area. Each incident heightened his anxiety and deepened his resolve. The final straw was a note affixed to the barn entrance. The brief message read, "We're closer than you think." His fingers trembled as he deciphered its chilling threat. The danger was substantial and closing in quickly. Ethan realized he couldn't manage this situation alone. He contacted Nicola, sharing everything he had encountered. The veterinarian was taken aback but agreed to help. She committed to staying at the ranch, bringing her medical expertise and an extra pair of watchful eyes. With Nicola by his side, Ethan felt a small glimmer of hope. They crafted a strategy to protect the colts and contacted local law enforcement to inform them about the unwarranted intrusions. Despite taking precautions, Ethan was haunted by a nagging feeling. He sensed he was overlooking something pivotal about Emma and her twin offspring. Determined to uncover the truth, he began examining old records related to Emma's lineage. Going through a forgotten box of documents, he stumbled upon a letter from Emma's previous caretaker, a notorious horse breeder named Charles Remington. The letter detailed Emma's heritage and referenced a covert breeding operation aimed at creating genetically superior equines. Ethan's eyes widened as he read on. Emma was no ordinary mare. She was part of a lineage famous for distinctive strength, speed, and intellect. The revelation was staggering. If Emma shared this illustrious ancestry, her twins, Will and Grace, could potentially exhibit even more extraordinary attributes. The breeder's obsession with the young colts was starting to make sense. They weren't merely rare, they held revolutionary potential. As Ethan mulled over this finding, a familiar voice interrupted him. "You seem to have come across something interesting," Victor said from the entrance. He raised his hands in a pacifying manner. "I'm not here to harm you or the foals. There's more you need to know." Ethan hesitated but nodded. Victor stepped forward. "Emma's young ones might carry a unique genetic trait that makes them extremely valuable to those interested in breeding. Emma was quick, robust, and striking, and they were just like her. Others believe these foals could revolutionize horse breeding." Ethan's gut churned. The implications were vast. If what Victor said was true, the twins were more than just rare. They were revolutionary. "Why should I trust you?" Ethan asked. Victor looked Ethan directly in the eyes. "Because I know what they're capable of. They will go to any lengths to obtain those foals. I couldn't forgive myself if I didn't warn you. I left that world because I believe animals shouldn't be treated as economic assets." Later, Ethan sat pensively in the stable, weighed down by his new revelations. As he watched Will and Grace play under Emma's watchful eye, he felt time pressing against him. He needed answers quickly. The following morning, he decided to confront Victor directly. He left Nicola to care for the horses and drove to the address Victor had given him. It was a modest cabin on the town's periphery. "Ethan," Victor greeted when he answered the door. "I figured you'd come." Ethan got straight to the point. He needed to understand every detail, starting with Victor's identity and motives. Victor sighed and motioned for Ethan to enter. The cabin was simple but orderly, with personal items hinting at a past life. "Allow me to introduce myself properly. Victor Stone is my real name," he began. "I was once a respected member among a group of elite horse breeders focused on developing the perfect racing horse. We believed in the power of genetics and pursued it without restraint." Ethan listened intently as the pieces began to fit together. Victor continued, "We operated covertly, often crossing moral boundaries. We justified our actions by the outcomes. Exceptional racing horses with unmatched speed and stamina." Victor's expression shifted. "I could no longer stomach the lengths they would go to. When I discovered the potential in foals like Will and Grace, I knew they'd stop at nothing to get them. I couldn't remain a part of it." Ethan's thoughts swirled. The breeder's obsession with rare equine genetics placed his young foals in grave danger. Victor explained that they believed Will and Grace possessed genetic attributes capable of making them the apex of horse evolution. Thus, they desired them more than anything else. "I'll help you protect them as best I can. I detest the thought of them being reduced to mere breeding stock." As Ethan shook hands with Victor, a sense of comfort washed over him. He realized he wasn't alone in this struggle. With Victor's insider knowledge and connections, they had a fighting chance. Tension hung over the farm. Ethan and Victor worked diligently to bolster the barn's defenses and keep the foals hidden. Despite their efforts, Ethan knew it was only a matter of time before the breeders took action. That moment arrived sooner than he anticipated. Late in the afternoon, Ethan spotted a convoy of dark SUVs ominously approaching the farm. His pulse quickened as he hurried to warn Victor. "Stay with the colts," Victor instructed, determination etched on his face. "I'll handle this." He moved forward to confront the intruders, 5 men in black suits with cold, calculating expressions. "We know what you're hiding here, Stone," the group's leader said, his voice dripping with menace. "Hand over the foals, and no one will get hurt." Victor stood tall, shoulders squared. "You won't be taking the horses," he stated, calm yet resolute. The leader's eyes narrowed. "You're betraying us, Stone. You know the significance of these foals. This goes beyond one farmer's affection for his livestock. It's about revolutionizing horse breeding." Tension escalated until a shadowy figure emerged from behind. To Ethan's astonishment, it was Dr. Nicola Jarvis. She approached the group with an air of authority, demanding an explanation. "Stay out of this, Dr. Jarvis," the leader sneered. Nicola's eyes sparked with defiance. You're mistaken if you think this doesn't involve me. I know your ruthless methods and immoral experiments." The breeders hesitated, visibly surprised by Nicola's presence. The leader's face twisted in rage. "You'll regret this day," he snarled, gesturing for his men to advance. Ethan couldn't remain hidden any longer. Alongside Victor and Nicola, he stepped forward. "My foals aren't going anywhere," he declared. The syndicate members faltered, uncertain about their next move. The leader hesitated. "This isn't over," he growled. "We'll be back." As night enveloped the farm, tranquility shattered with the sound of engines. The dark SUVs returned. Ethan's heartbeat quickened. The breeders emerged, their eyes fixed on Ethan. He was coldly informed that this was his final opportunity. He could either surrender the foals peacefully, or they would be seized by force. But Nicola had preemptively alerted local law enforcement about the potential trespassing, and officers were covertly positioned across the ranch. Approximately 10 minutes later, police arrived, the dust settling as the last breeder was escorted off the property. Ethan, Victor, and Nicola gathered in a mix of exhaustion and relief. They had successfully protected Will and Grace. In the days that followed, calm began to return to the farm. Now aware of the breeders' intentions, local authorities provided additional protection and support. On a particular evening, as the sunset painted the sky in resplendent hues, Ethan stroked Grace's soft mane and turned to Will, who responded with a playful nudge. "Both of you are exceptional," Ethan murmured, "and it's not because of your lineage, but due to your uniqueness. You've given my life extraordinary meaning, and I vow to protect you always." As darkness enveloped the farm, Ethan leaned against Emma, finding comfort in her warmth and the rhythmic pattern of her breathing. The foals huddled nearby, their presence reassuring him that wonders could occur even in dire situations. This thrilling story comes to an end. Do any of you have stories about dedicated farmers who went to great lengths to shield their livestock? We'd love to hear them in the comments below. For now, we'll be eagerly awaiting your return for our next story, so stay tuned.